Hello, my name is Basil and I'm the technical co-founder with TechSouth. Today I'm going to show you how you can install any PHP MySQL package onto an EC2 instance. Now, an EC2 instance is provided by AWS, or popularly known as the Amazon Web Services. And I'll show you how you can do all of this in the next 5 minutes. It's very simple and very easy for you to get started on. Right, so the first thing that you will need to do is take an AWS account. Now, you can do this by logging on to the Amazon Web Services or simply AWS. Now, obviously, you're asking questions about the pricing. What you can do is just log on to or just do a simple Google search and type in AWS pricing, and you will get in all the details that you're looking for. So we'll simply just do the search, and obviously it's the first result that comes up. Now over here you can see that you're entitled to a free trial. If you have a credit card and once you accessed your account and you've created your new account, you can obviously get these benefits from AWS. Now you have 750 hours of EC2, you have 750 hours of EC2 running on Microsoft as well as Linux. You have 750 hours of elastic load balancing, 30 GB of Amazon Web Services, 15 GB of bandwidth, etc., etc. Now you don't need to really be worried about how much free data you're going to get over here. For your initial usage, I believe this should be more than enough to get you started. If you scroll further down, you will be able to see the pricing that comes effective once you have exhausted your free account usage, and this is after a year typically. So that gives you enough of time to experiment with the account, do all of your software testing, do all of your package uploads, access your server, and still you will be well within your minimum usage or well within your free usage. So you can just have a look at the pricing over here. Obviously this wouldn't make sense to you right now because these names are fairly complex or difficult to remember, but once you get into starting the server, you would very clearly understand what these terms and what these names stand for. So let's go ahead to the page for for logging into your account. Now I already have an account, so I'm going to log directly into my account and I'm going to show you how to start up your server. Now, once you log in, this is the page that you're going to get, and this is how you're going to see it. The first thing that you need to do is click on EC2, which stands for your Elastic servers. You log in, and you click on it, and you're in. And you would see a bunch of these details on the left and on the right. And the first thing that should catch your eye is the number of servers that you're currently running. Now, obviously, I already have 3 servers already running for the kind of packages and the mobile apps that we have created over here. So I'll just jump right into my running instances. If you have 0 instances, don't worry about it, just go ahead and click it. Once you do that, you should be able to see a page which shows all of your instances. I'll just pull up more details over here. Okay, for some reason it's not showing up, but let's not worry about that right now. The first thing that you're going to do is create launch instance. And what you want to effectively get started off with is known as the Amazon Linux AMI. This is what I usually prefer because I believe that Amazon releases a lot of software updates and patches on a regular interval. So it's easy for you to get hold of these patches and the updates so that you can be rest assured that your server is running with the most updated package whatsoever. Now, another reason why I choose the Amazon Linux is because the community support that you can get from an Amazon server is so much higher than what you can expect on a Ubuntu server or any other server. Now, I've not tested the Microsoft server and the other servers which are available because we mostly work with the open source packages. But I would leave this choice up to you, but this tutorial is just to show how to get started with the servers. It really does not depend on what packages you're going to install over there at the end. So the other bit that I choose is the 64-bit Amazon Linux, as mentioned over here. I would just select that. And here is where it tells me what server I'm going to start. So I'm going to go with the T1 Micro, and this is essentially the server which you're going to have free for a period of 1 year. And you can obviously see that micro instances are eligible for the AWS free usage tier, and you can read all about it by further drilling down. If you do not want a T1 Micro, you can obviously go on to the general purpose, and this is where all the names start to make sense. And these names is effectively what you need to look up to find out what the pricing is and take it from there. Now, you obviously have several other types of instances known as the memory optimized, the storage optimized. Don't worry too much about this. All these kind of servers come in at a later point of time. It's not very important right now. So I'll go ahead with the micro. I will go to next, configure and instance details. I'm going to say that I need only one instance for a start. You can leave all of this as default. Now, if you do not have a preference for a zone, you can just select the no preference, or you can select depending on 1A or 1B. But remember this over here, if you select a 1A, then depending on all the future services that you're going to install on top of this, they all essentially have to be in the same zone. So if I select a 1A, all my services which I'm going to deploy in the future, let's say let it be an RDS, let it be an S3, or let it be a bucket, for example, you should always launch it in a 1A. If not, you're going to land up with network latency issues over there. So I'm going to select 1A just for the sake of simplicity. You can leave the rest of it just to be default, and I'm going to go into next, add storage. Now, a default 8 GB storage should be more than enough for any kind of installation which you're looking to test. So we have successfully ran WordPress, Joomla, or a Drupal, and even CodeIgniter installations on this particular 8 GB size. It's proved to be more than enough for us, no matter how much we try to expand our application capabilities. And the next thing I'm going to do is tag instance. You can leave this as the default. Go to the security group. Now, I'm going to just start with the launch wizard one, which is the security group which is going to be created. Now, over here, you can see that we have only the SSH port open. I'm going to leave this at the default so that I can explain this further to you as we go down the line. And I'm just going to review and launch it. And this is the basic snapshot of what is going to get launched, and I'm just going to click launch. Now, this is a very important part of launching a server. It's going to tell you to create a keychain pair. Now, it's basically a file which you're going to use to get access into your server. Be very careful with this file, because if you're going to land up losing this file, then there's no way to access your server in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new key pair for the sake of explaining this process, and I'm just going to type this out as demo server, and I'm going to download the key pair, and I'll save this onto my desktop so that I can reference it at a later point of time. And then I just go and launch the instance. Now, it takes less than 2 or 3 minutes to launch the instance, and everything should be up and running right about now. So if I come back into my service page and my EC2 instance page, I go into my instances. Okay, so the servers were hidden over there. You can see that there is a server being started up, and it says pending and initializing. So you just need to wait for approximately a minute or so until this is done. And you can specify your own name over here. So I'll just type up demo server over here. And this is just for reference. This name is never going to be referenced at any point of time during your application development. Okay, there we go. So we have a server running. I'll just pull up the details which are underneath. Now you can see that we have a public DNS over here. If I take this public DNS, this effectively means that I should be able to access my server and get the basic details out of it. So if I go ahead and select it, I come to a new tab and I paste it, you would see that it is taking quite a bit of time to load the page. And this is essentially because you have not specified the ports which are going to be used. You would remember that I was speaking about something called the security group. Now, in the security group, only port SSH was open, which technically means that I've given access only to terminal to access the server. So I'll show you how to open up the ports and how to access your basic Apache page at first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up terminal. And over here, I'm going to type in the commands which is going to allow me to access the server, which is a basic SSH command. And I need to specify the key file over here. And A simple drag and drop of the file should be more than enough. Oops, I think I misplaced the file. Just give me a moment. I'm just searching for it. Ah, there you go. And I'm going to specify the user, which is EC2-user, and this is the default for an Amazon instance. And at the rate of, you're going to specify your dynamic DNS or the public DNS which has been provided by the server. So I'm just going to copy paste that from here. And there you go. You just need to press yes. And it's going to tell you there is a warning over there. So what you need to do is you need to change the file permissions for your security file so that you're able to access it. Now without changing the permissions, they're no way going to allow you to access the file. So I'll just type in the basic commands, which is a chmod, and you need to change it to 400. And I'm going to use the same path. That's done. And I'm going to go back into my main command. And there you go. You have access to your server right now. Now, depending on what you're going to use it for, you'll need to install PHP, you'll need to install the MySQL server, you might need to install maybe additional packages which are required over here. So for my case, I'm just going to install the PHP and the MySQL, and that should be good to go for a start. Okay, so I'm going to run a few set of commands on the server to install my PHP and MySQL onto it. So I have these commands ready over here. So I'm going to have to put in a sudo before that so that I get super user access onto it. And there you go. While that's getting done, I'm just going to get my second command ready. And I'm just going to type in that. There you go. Okay, so I have PHP installed and I have MySQL installed. Now I'm just going to start up both these services. So that's sudo service httpd start, and then you have sudo service mysqld start. Okay, so perfect. It says it's okay, everything's fine. Now I should have my server, and technically speaking, I should have access to it as well. So let me go ahead and just try that. So this becomes my DNS or my IP address. And you can see that I still do not have access to this. So this means that something is blocking my traffic onto my server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into my security groups, and you remember that I started off with Launch Wizard 1, and there's only one entry over there. Now over here there's access only for my terminal. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit this, and I'm going to add a row which says all TCP. Oh, not TCP, effectively HTTP, sorry. I'm going to save that. And if I come back over here and run this command again, it should start up. And there you go. This is how you install an Apache server. We have everything running. And now I'm going to guide you through how to get WordPress installed onto this. So what you need to do is you just need to access your FileZilla. And over here I'm going to specify the same DNS to connect to the server. So my host becomes so, my user becomes EC2-user. I do not have a password. So what you need to do is you need to specify the security file into the preferences. So I'm going to go in there. You will find SFTP, where you can do an add keychain file. And I'm going to take my same demo server, open it up, and save it once again. I click OK over there, and let's try a quick connect. Okay, something seems to be wrong. So I'm just going to go into creating a new server. Okay, so there's a new site. I'm going to name this demo. I'm going to put my host as so. This becomes SFTP. And over here, you will need to give it as normal. You're going to type this as EC2-user. There is not going to be a password. Just going to click connect. And if everything is right, you should typically be able to connect up to your server right away. Okay, looks like there is a little bit of a problem. Let me just check that out. Okay, this did not get selected. Let's try connecting again. I will have to cut this out over this. No, leave it. I'll have to cut the timing out. It is not. Okay, so there we go, it's connected now. Now what you will need to do is you will need to transfer the file into this particular folder which says user, it says var www and html. So by default, the server does not give you access to transfer files onto this. So what you need to do is you will need to run a couple of commands over there. So this becomes sudo chown ec2-user, and then you're going to specify which path it is. And there we go. Once you do this, you should be able to transfer files right away. So I'm going to put in my WordPress file over there. So I downloaded that earlier. Just gonna pull that up. So I think that's, yep, there it is. Come back into desktop, put that there. And if I refresh over here, I should be able to get the details. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so the transfer has started. I'll just quickly forward this part where you do not need to see this. Okay, so now the WordPress installation file has completely got transferred. I'm going to unzip it over there. So a good practice is to never transfer files as a complete package onto the server, because that's going to take a lot of time for you to do in case you land up with 2,000 or 3,000 files. So what you can easily do is always transfer the WordPress zipped file in, and you can just unzip it. So I'm just going to go into my so-called directory. So it's going to be var /www/html. Okay, let's see if the file is there. It's there. And I'm just going to type in unzip. And you can press the tab to autocomplete. And there we go, that's done. Now, if I refresh over here, I get my WordPress folder and all the files are there. So let's just try putting a /WordPress. And as expected, we've got the installation file done. So it says that you haven't created your WP config file. You can go ahead and create that, and that's going to complete the installation. Now you would obviously need to access the database part of the on the EC2 instance so that you can initialize the WordPress database. I'll just quickly show you how to do that as well. So that's called the MySQL Workbench, and you can obviously download this from the internet. It's a free software. Now you would need to do a little bit of configuration over there. I'll just quickly run you through the configuration as well. Okay, so I'm just going to add a new connection, and I'll name this as my demo. Now the IP address is going to become the same. I'm going to put that in over here. You can leave this default. Obviously, I just forgot to mention you would need to select this as over SSH. Okay, I've lost all my data, so let me put that back. And this becomes EC2-user. And this is the SSH file or the key file, which again, you're going to need it to access the server. So I'm going to take the same file up. While that's done, you can leave this at default, this works, and just run a quick test connection. Oops, I've got an error over there. Let me just quickly go through it. Let's click this default. This again the default. Okay, that's because I mentioned that. Test the connection again. Okay, there you go. So the connection is done. So I'm just going to click OK. And once I open this up, you should be able to access your WordPress, your database, which is installed onto the EC2 as well from here. So what I can do is I can simply come over here, create a new database by clicking over here, and I'm going to write this as WordPress, and I'm going to apply it. And you see the commands that are going to be executed, and that's it. So once you have done this stage, you should be able to install and configure WordPress. So you should be able to access the config file, mention up all the details. And I forgot to mention the default password that's given for the MySQL DB is going to be root. So you should have no trouble with that. Now, one thing that you need to remember is this DNS which they have provided is going to change every time your server restarts. So what you would obviously need to do is you would need to come into Elastic IPs. And this is telling AWS to assign you an IP from the pool. And this is charged separately. I think it works out to be $1 roughly a month. So you can obviously allocate a new address, and it's for EC2. Just click yes, allocate. And if you're going to change this, remember that you would need to make the same change in the MySQL Workbench as well. I'm going to close that. Now I have an IP address over here. I'm just going to right click, associate new IP address with EC2. Sorry, it's supposed to be associate, and over here you're going to type in the demo server, and you should be able to have that, and click associate. So now if I try to access my server with this IP, you should have access onto it, and there you go. So that's how you would do a WordPress install onto an EC2 instance. Now, it need not be restricted to WordPress. We have done this with WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and for example, even ran it with SugarCRM. So any kind of PHP MySQL installation that you're looking to do should be possible with this. So that's about it. If you like the tutorial or if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us on our website. You can even leave the comments and we'll get back to you, or we'll update our video in the future. Thank you.